Hello, and thank you for watching this October 24th weather update, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I am a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. With harvest making great progress for most, I thought we would turn our attention in this video to our longer range forecast and look at the U.S. winter that's upcoming, as well as the state of La Nina and the Brazil planting season. But first, let's catch up on a few things and then get to the short-term forecast. Here are the last 7 days of accumulated precipitation. Storms erupted along a front that stretched from Missouri through the northeast last week and drenched many with well over 2 inches of rain. This brought harvest efforts to a halt, and some had to do with some large hail in these embedded thunderstorms. Here are the storm reports from October 19th. We can see 35 separate reports of hail larger than an inch in diameter. Fields in southern Illinois and southern Indiana did not make out as well as the rest of the Corn Belt either this year. During the June heat, these regions did not get the relief in the rainfall that Iowa, northern Illinois, and central Indiana did. Plus, when the rain did finally come, it came in huge amounts that dropped several inches at a time. Some of that corn was compromised, and the stands were not as healthy as farmers in these regions had intended. Then, these recent storms and hail really mangled things up, making harvest challenging, as you can see here in this picture. Well, as last week's rain finally pulled to the east, Agrible's senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder Bill Chapman took this video in Mahomet, Illinois, just outside of Champaign, Illinois. What you are seeing here are gravity waves flowing through the large stratus cloud deck. Waves like this happen all the time, but time-lapse photography really brings them out. It's an amazing video just to sit and watch and see how the flow of the atmosphere behaves as these waves move through the atmosphere. So let's look into this week. Monday and Tuesday look dry for most in the Corn Belt, but look at the storms being kicked off ahead of this low-pressure system midweek this week. Iowa may get several inches of rain, and so may parts of Illinois as these storms blast on through. If you're watching this video and you're in Iowa and you are really close to finishing up, stay in the fields as long as you can on Monday and Tuesday before this rain arrives. Well, turning our attention toward temperatures, some patchy frost did spread across the Corn Belt yet again at the end of last week, but this time it made it into central Illinois and parts of Indiana. Well, as we have seen so many times this summer and early fall, the cooler weather doesn't stick around for too long. By Sunday, temperatures warmed on strong southerly winds, and temperatures for this week are not going to feel as chilly as they stay in the mid to upper 60s for parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, but they will be a little bit cooler the farther north you go. Notice how in this animation of temperatures, we aren't seeing any really cold temperatures creep into the Corn Belt through midweek this week. Next week looks warm too, as yet another ridge forms in the jet stream in the central plains and moves off to the east. This is why the 8 to 14-day temperature probability map is covered in red again, indicating more warmer than average conditions. So many are asking me, when are we really going to start to see these cooler temperatures moving in for fall and winter? Well, this map shows the temperature anomaly forecast for mid-November, and the color coding indicates the strength of the anomaly. Over the last several days, our long-range forecast models have been keying in on a cooler pattern for mid to late November. Now, as always with long-range forecasts like these, there can and will be error, but there has at least been some consistency lately that is giving me some more confidence in this cooldown for the second half of November. Now, this will be in sharp contrast to last year, when El Nino helped keep November and December very warm. So as we look longer term and trying to figure out what this winter is going to look like, we need to check in first on what La Nina is doing. Well, this map shows the latest sea surface temperature anomalies, which are differences from normal. And these cooler temperatures here in the Central Pacific, well, they are the signature of this current weak La Nina. Now, our best forecasting guidance keeps this La Nina weak through winter, which makes it a bit of a smaller player in our winter forecast for the Corn Belt. But it is important to know that La Nina winters typically produce colder and snowier Midwest winters. Not always, but historically they are correlated. So what are the latest projections? Well, here's what NOAA has for this winter. They are predicting warmer than average conditions along the southern states, with cooler weather in the northern and central states. They have above average precipitation for Montana and the surrounding states, as well as the Great Lakes, but drier than average conditions through the south. Well, here is Agrible's latest projections for this winter. The background map shows you the temperature anomalies, and the arrows indicate the favored position of the jet stream for this upcoming winter. While our forecast is similar to NOAA's, we have the cooler weather shifting a little bit farther to the east and to the northeast. We are also forecasting a very active storm track through the Ohio River Valley, fed by the merger and the interplay of both the polar and subtropical jet streams for this winter. Now, our model is not quite as cold as NOAA in the northern United States, but don't be fooled by these warmer colors. It will still be cold and snowy here in the northern tier of the U.S. So, what I want you to remember from this is, expect a big change from last winter. Active storm track, cooler than average temperatures for a large part of the United States. That'll be a big difference from what we saw last winter. South America will likely also benefit from the La Nina being weaker than anticipated. Normally, La Nina causes a lot of problems in South America with heat and drought in the southern growing regions, but a weak La Nina will have much smaller influence. This growing season has certainly started off wet in South America, and water storage in the northern growing regions are recovering well from the drought they endured from last year. Based upon the forecast information we have up to this point, there is not a lot to lead me to think that Brazil will have major, widespread issues with the weather this year. Well, as always, we at Agrible will bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Thank you.